Today's episode is going to be about when you feel like you're messing up your life and everyone else is ahead of you, and everything on social media looks like really, really good for everyone else. And you're like, what am I doing? Because that's how I be feeling a lot. And I know other people are feeling like this because I talk to other people. I am no less qualified, no more, I am no more qualified to speak on this than your average Joe, but I bought a microphone. My qualifications include having a shitstorm, a shitstorm to me happen the last 4 years of my life, and just feeling like everyone else is not going through a similar thing. I just felt like I was the only one struggling. I mean, I knew in my head, I knew in my heart of hearts that there were a million other people struggling and that social media is fake and blah, 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 blah. But still, we are the main characters of our own stories. So in my head, I was like, what is happening to me? And it just felt like it was only happening to me. I was in a really abusive relationship, and that's kind of where it started to go downhill. I had a pretty solid upbringing and really great college experience. Light traumas within there, but that's a story for another time. But real life shit started to happen once I got into this relationship. Um, and then once I finally had the wherewithal to leave this incredibly emotionally and physically abusive person, I thought it could only get better. I was like, yo, listen, that can't be much worse. It cannot get worse. But it did. It sure did, pals. Let me tell you. There were more glimmers of hope in that time, but it got worse. I since then had to take out some loans because I couldn't afford to exist. I had a really hard time finding a job. I still have a really janky job that I don't give two hoots about. It's definitely not what I want to do with my life. I was in debt. I got those jobs. For a while, couldn't find a job. Was riding the struggle bus. I moved somewhere completely new to try and like change my life or whatever. And that was a lot more intimidating than I thought it was going to be. To me, I think I can do anything, which I can, but it was a learning experience to pick up my entire life and have to make entirely new friends and not knowing a single soul in the city. So, all of that, new job, new life, no job for a while, no money, and then also recovering from 3 years of abuse and other things. That was a journey, my friends. It was different. And that is why I feel so qualified to speak on this. Since all of that shit has hit the fan and then some, I have figured a few things out. Life is not entirely what I want it to be yet, but I have a much more positive point of view about it now. And I figured there's probably other people feeling like me, right? Um, I forgot to mention, amongst that shitstorm, I realized how useless my college degree was. And that was really cool because applying to all these jobs, nobody wants me because I'm not qualified. And yeah, I love what I got my degree in, but it is proving to be fruitless. Anyway, so all of that stuff was just like, wow, I literally have no clue what the F I'm about to do for the rest of my life. I feel like I have no purpose. I feel like I have no sense of self. I feel like I have all these things that I need to work through, which I did, I still do. I feel like I have no idea what job I can even get. I still don't. I'm freaking out a little bit. But yeah, but since then, like I was trying to say, since then, I feel that I have developed somewhat of a perspective on this stuff that makes me feel a lot better about where I'm going in my life. And I thought I would share it with you because I can't be the only person who's absolutely terrified. Yeah. I will preface this by saying, no, I'm not. Everybody's life is different and everything that's going to work for somebody is different. But for me, what helped was the following. First and foremost, secondly and second most, there is not one glaringly obvious thing that you can do to make your life better and have a better understanding of it. There is not one thing that there's nothing universal. The only thing that I do know to be universal is to run towards the things that you're avoiding. So when I was going through all of these things, I was really, really a master of avoiding dealing with all of the sadness and emotions and things coming up for me during this time in my life. And things continued to get worse and shittier, and I felt worse and worse about myself because I still wasn't dealing with them. I wasn't, you know, buckling down and figuring out a game plan for, okay, you figured out your degree is useless. Now what? I was just like, let's go and drink with money I don't have. I wasn't like, let's deal with these problems from your abusive relationship. I was like, hold on, let's just like get on the dating apps. Let's get some validation. Let's not look for why we're looking for all that validation. Let's just do it. Other than running towards the things that you want to run away from, everybody's journey is different, and we all know that, and every single tropey motherfucker has said that. So to sum up that little bit, face shit head on, stop avoiding it. I know you know that, but maybe me saying it will help you be like, I'm not gonna do it. Or maybe just having someone else say it will be a little bit of a wake up call because everybody knows, but we don't do it. Thirdly, what's going to happen when you start to face things head on is a lot of emotions are going to come up and they're going to be painful as shit. And most of us are just like, I'm going to put that in a tiny little box over here. Not going to deal with it. I'm good on it. And that, my friend, is called avoidance. And we shouldn't do that either. Dealing with your emotions is the hardest shit to do, and that's why the greatest reward comes from the hardest shit to do because it's hard. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be like, you know what, bebop poop, I'm facing this. No prob, hun. That's not what's going to happen. That wasn't complete English. That's not. Why can't I talk? That's not what's going to happen. You're going to try to face your emotions and you're probably going to run away again. And then you're going to try again and you're going to get a little deeper and you're going to run away again. And that's going to happen probably over and over again. And it's probably going to take a long time. But as you are more willing and as you keep trying to face your emotions, the easier it will be for you to get in tune with yourself and in tune with those emotions and nurture that part of yourself that is absolutely screaming at you, love. On that note, things are not going to get immediately better once you start dealing with shit. In fact, there's a really big chance it's going to get worse. That's almost a guarantee because it's gonna suck for a bit, but it is worth it. Keep pushing through. Understand that this pain is necessary to grow. And while you're going through this bad thing, these bad things, if you don't journal already, I do it. I bought a journal a month before I ended that relationship and moved out of the house with him. And like I said, I thought things were going to get better. They didn't. And so my journal was like, bad, 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 not good, down, 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 only down. And I kept reading it over, and I was like, when is shit gonna get better? I don't know if you read your journal over, but it's nice to read it over. And then when you see that uptick, you're like, oh, oh, and then it goes down again, it goes down, and then it goes, oh. And being able to track that journey and see when things start to fricking get better helps, especially when you feel like you're not making progress. I started by leaving that relationship. And then the next month I was like, the next few months I was like, wow, I can't get a job. Wow, I can't do this. Wow, I don't have this. Wow, everything is getting worse, worse, worse. And then so like 6 months of shit being not that not that great. Things slowly started to get better and slowly started to get better. And one little more thing off my list. And now I'm paid off my debt. And now I did this and ba 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 ba. And even though these things are so slow and so gradual, because now when I'm looking back, like a month ago, I had a solid breakdown and I was like, I have not accomplished anything in a year. I haven't gotten anywhere from where I was a year ago. I still feel like I'm dealing with the ramifications of that relationship. I still feel broke as shit. I still feel like I have no purpose. What the fuck? And then when I read over that journal, I was like, actually, love, you went from literally crying every single day to not crying every single day, only like a couple times a week. And then from having to take out money and borrow money and now having two jobs and being able to pay for things that I was like, I had like a budget of like $50 a week for like non essentials. And now my budget is substantially higher than that, and I can have things that like I normally couldn't afford, and it's nice to be able to treat myself here and then. And going from having absolutely zero friends from moving here and no support system and knowing literally not a single soul in this freaking state to now I have two of the greatest friends I've ever had in my entire life and a bunch of other friends that are on their way to being that. So even though those things they feel things as an adult take so much more time, like the goals and the successes take more time, so I feel like it's harder to recognize them when they're happening almost because it's because of that. It's harder to recognize because of that. And so when you have that literally written out and you can see the month to month slow progresses after having such a shitty period of time, you realize, oh, that's actually a lot of progress. It's not as fast as I want it to be, but like that's life. So just being able to document your progress is something that you should do, period. The next thing I want to address are some of the things that helped me in those really hard times, and it has to do with journaling, like which is what I was just talking about. One of the techniques I learned was I stole it from that woman Jewel, who is a musician, and she was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and she talked about this journaling prompt, a journaling technique that she did when she was literally homeless and life was only shitting on her. If you haven't listened to that podcast, that episode particular, I mean, who hasn't? What am I even saying? That particular episode is money. Um, but she talks about this journal prompt that she did called Thinking, Feeling, Doing. And it was when you were in those bad times or the happy times, you would take out your journal and you would write what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing, so you can monitor what it is that triggers you, that makes you feel bad, that like how you can avoid doing that again. And then also when you're having those good times, what are you thinking, what are you feeling, what are you doing, how can you incorporate that more into your life? And that was something that I did for a hot sec. um I didn't do it all the time. Like I didn't carry my journal around with me all the time and like whip that shit out and was like, eh. I didn't do that. But at the end of the day, if I had a moment, I would reflect on my day and be like, was my day overwhelmingly bad or overwhelmingly good or somewhere in the middle? And then write about it. That was helpful for me to recognize when I was doing those crappy behaviors that I was constantly doing, or maybe didn't realize I was doing or knew that I was doing, but having it on paper and being like, tighten up because you're doing this over and over again and it's giving you the same result. Are you crazy? Do different. And then when those happy traits or happy consistencies were happening, consistencies, that's not the word I want to use, but you know what I mean? When those happy trends were happening, I would be like, how can I bring that into my life more? Other coping mechanisms, honestly, you guys all know them. Like, who among us hasn't heard about the coping mechanisms? Go to therapy, exercise, eat your fruits and vegetables. Like, do the things. We all know that, but whether or not you're going to really do them is on you. We're a very self-aware population. You know what to do, adopt one of them and start doing it now. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to act like this is the most profound thing you've ever heard. I know you've heard this shit before. So, pick one up and start doing it. And then when you start doing that consistently, add another one in a month. Boom. Lastly, here's going to be my little love note to you and the universe and the world, and my little note of positivity here for you is that it is really easy to get caught up in, if not impossible to not get caught up in, the amount of money you make and the job you have and what your friends are doing and what your body looks like and what car, like, it's really damn near impossible, especially if you're on social media, which who among us? It is really easy to get caught up in that crap. And quite honestly, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't, because I do on a freaking regular basis. But one thing that keeps my head in check is that I know people who have everything and are still miserable. And the reason why is because they don't prioritize connections and friendship and support and love in their life. And even if you don't have the job that you want, even if you don't have all of the aforementioned things, if you can prioritize friendship and love and support and working on yourself, those things will come. And even if they don't come the way that you expect or what you previously wanted, your like what you want shifts, what you expect, what you label as a good life and what you label as like a productive life becomes different because it's not labeled by things, it's by feelings. It's like, oh, I feel really good. Even though I'm in this tough spot, I have a really great friend that I can call who will cheer me up, or I have like that coping mechanism within me to deal with this in a healthy way. There are people who have it all but don't have the healthy coping mechanisms and don't have the support system to get through their hard times that they still have, even though they have a lot of success. Your life might be up in the air right now, and your life might not even be it might not be as disastrous. Not that my life was disastrous, that's dramatic, but like you might not have a million things going wrong, but you might just still feel like lost. You might even have a really good, you might be one of the people I just mentioned who has a great job and the car and the looks and the ba 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 ba. And you might, whoever you are, if you're feeling in here like a mess, regardless of the standing of your life, prioritizing real friendships and connections and love and feeling good within yourself and working on yourself, that will bring you so much joy, more joy than any label and job title and whatever the frick. And everybody knows that, but shit, we don't do it. We don't prioritize it. And that's something that I made my mission the last however long I've been here, is to make really good friends, because I realized that when I was in my shitty relationship is I did not prioritize my friends. I didn't prioritize myself. And then when shit really hit the fan, like once I got out of that relationship and thought that everything would get better, it got even worse because I had nobody. And now my life is a little bit better. I'm still pretty freaking clueless, but I have such good friends and support systems. And every time that I think money and all that shit will solve it, I look at my friends and people that I know who have everything and I'm like, damn, they're still miserable. And it's because they don't have the things that I'm talking about. Connection is the essence of life, bro. Real talk. This is not the quote, but the essence of the quote I read a freaking while ago was, you can be happy while you're figuring it out, while you're on the journey. You don't have to wait to be happy. You don't have to reach a certain thing to be happy. You can be happy right now. It's going to be great. And to be honest, like, do that because you might never get the thing, or your priorities might change, and then you're miserable, you're miserable, you're miserable, and then you get the thing and you're like, damn, that's actually not that cool. Be happy, be well now. Just do it. Why can't you just be happy and well now, you dummy? You know what I mean. Work on yourself. We, this is also tropey as frick, but we do really only get one life. We really do only get one chance to be this beautiful and messy and whatever. And it's really easy to take that and be like, yeah, that's why I should just grind and become like this beast of a person. But it's also why you should like slow down and just enjoy the grass and your cup of coffee and like holding someone you love's hand. And that's really fucking cheesy, but it's true. I stand by it. Um, Find joy in the little things. And that doesn't mean you don't need to pursue whatever your crazy goals are, but just remember to also enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Life is a highway. I think that's it. I think that's the tea. The tea is piping. This has been your time with me. This has been brought to you by Yo Big Sister, Yo Friend, Yo Confidant. Hope it helped. Hope it wasn't too cheesy and everything you already know. But even if it was everything you already know, it's sometimes good to hear it from another person's mouth. So at the end of the day, when you're feeling like your life is a mess and everyone else has it figured out, simply nobody does. But things are a whole lot better with good people by your side. So love your friends, text them you love them, text them some cheesy, stupid shit this today. Be like, I love you, bitch. I ain't never gonna stop loving you, bitch. Um, yeah, that's all for this episode. See you next time. I guess that's really it. Okay. Bye.